So heat 1 for the Brisca Formula 2s gets underway, and a rather hoarse-sounding that's from Paul Reed or not. Heading round onto the back straight into the early lead then, 387 Jason McDonald. So Jason been having a good season so far, heads down the back straight from 92 John Hogg. .192 Brian Hogg at the tail end of the field. Good to see Rebecca Reid back out after taking a hefty knock a few weeks back in 617. So round into the home straight then. 387 from 92 John Hogg, who's trying to close the gap with Rhys McIntosh and 514 in third. Missing Chris Burgoyne tonight in 647, but it is 387 who leads the way, a 674 Stephen Burgoyne, who's at topsy-turvy season results-wise here, sometimes very much on the pace and other times mechanical woes impacting his race finishes, but he is up and into fourth place at the moment. Rhys McIntosh the next drive in his sights, so we're into the second half of this one with 387 Jason McDonald leading, with 92 John Hogg in second place. The gap between first and second was 0.57 of a second between Jason McDonald and John Hogg, but it's Jason McDonald with the fastest lap of the race so far in 387, so maintaining his lead position. That gap extending slightly for lap, but John Hogg starting to close in as the lap boards come out. 4 and a bit laps of the circuit to go for Jason McDonald. Still holding the fastest lap from earlier on in this race. Get past the back marking car, but John Hogg now within striking distance as they head on to the back straight. The gap now down to 0.2 of a second between Jason McDonald and John Hogg, and Hogg looking more stable through that turnstile bend. So 387 Jason McDonald as the high flag tyres certainly change the grip during a race, and it's 2 laps to go for 387 Jason McDonald. John Hogg finding it hard to get close, and he's now started to drop back as John, the triple track champion here at the Racewall, and he goes on to his last lap. It's Jason McDonald who heads them. He heads on to the back straight. Jason McDonald and 387, driver who makes the trek down from the north of Scotland to be with us each week, and it's 387 who takes the victory from 92 John Hogg and 514 Rhys McIntosh at the flag. So 17 Paul Reed leads the field off in Brisca Formula 2's Heat 2. Rebecca Reid eases off to let the field through. As I say, Rebecca returning to racing after a hefty knock against the wall a few weeks back. Brian Hogg sits in second, then it's 92 John Hogg from 9.75 Graham Leckie. Bumper comes in from 16 Craig Wallace on 5.14 Rhys McIntosh, as Wallace up the inside of 5.14 and through for position. So down into the home straight, 17 leading the way. .192 Brian Hogg is 92 John Hogg just behind. So 9.75 Graham Leckie makes the move up into third place now. Paul Reid took a heat win last Friday evening, looking to do the same here tonight as he leads on to the back straight once more. 3.87 Jason McDonald has Graham Leckie in his sights for third place. They come into the home straight, rushing past the back marking 6.17 machine as Stephen Burgoyne in 6.74 tucked in behind these two. So Jason McDonald in 3.87 up and into third place then. It is 17 from 92 and 3.87. So the Scottish Saltire shown to indicate when to the second half of the race. So Paul Reid leads by half a length of a straight over 92 John Hogg, who was unable to overhaul Jason McDonald in Heat 1. He's in a similar position now where he's got to try to close the gap on Paul Reid. Not always easy to do as they close the gap on a clear track. So Paul Reid it is in car 17 leading the way, 92 slowed. Having set the fastest lap, the track championship leader's gone. So it's Jason McDonald who takes up the lead, but he's over 3 seconds behind Paul Reid. So 17 it is, John Hogg pulling up rather rapidly here in the home straights, and Hogg now has exits the race, so it's now Jason McDonald with 6.74, Stephen Burgoyne close behind. Indeed, it's a four-way fight really for that second place. 17 clear at the front of the field. 3 seconds ahead of his nearest challenger, Jason McDonald, who's now eked out a slender advantage over 6.74 as Craig Wallace tries to get past 9.75 Graham Leckie in the battle for fourth place. He's got 4 laps to try to get past the 9.75 driver. Nudge comes in again on the pit bend, but it's not strong enough to move the 9.75 car aside. 17 reeling off the laps, 9.75 looking a bit loose into the home straight, but he is managing to stay ahead of number 16 at the moment. So Paul Reid clear of Jason McDonald out in front. The gap has come down to 2.5 seconds, but he's only got a lap and a half here to hold on for the race win. Just needs to keep out of any danger around the track or any mechanical woes, because he's got half a lap to go. Looks like Graham Leckie's also managed to withstand that challenge from Craig Wallace, because the checkered flag will fall on 17 Paul Reid, Jason McDonald in second from Burgoyne and Leckie. Your top 4 in the F2's heat number 2. So the green flag drops on tonight's feature final for the Brisca Formula 2 stock cars. No Brian Hogg in this one in 192. Oh, we've got a spin up there, 975, Graham Leckie. On the back straight, 92, John Hogg. Up the inside, a 16, Craig Wallace on position. Wallace needs to get out of it, as he was very much out of shape with Jason McDonald on his back bumper. So plenty of bumper work going in amongst the star graders here. 17, Paul Reed puts a lap on 975, Graham Leckie, who will try to unlap himself perhaps. John Hogg and Craig Wallace second and third. So Graham Leckie does unlap himself. Paul Reed knows he's not in a fight with him, so doesn't really want that pressure of a car behind him looking in his rear view mirror. So 17, Paul Reed, quite happy to shadow the 975 driver. 92 from 674, Stephen McGoy now ahead of Craig Wallace, who's still under pressure from 387, Jason McDonald. So Paul Reed leads the way, 92 and 674, second and third. Brisca F2's over in Northern Ireland next weekend for their national championship. Hence why they're missing from Knockhill. They'll be out though at the Knockhill on the last Wednesday in June for their world qualifying round. That's a Wednesday evening fixture for them when we would expect a very good grid of cars. We are at the halfway mark then in tonight's grand final. Paul Reed with a decent lead at the moment, but still time for 92 John Hogg to close the gap. The gap was just under 2 seconds last time. It's actually Stephen McGoy with the fastest lap of the race. The gap down to 1.5 seconds, so John Hogg is catching Paul Reed quickly here. The 17 driver leads 92 with the gap down to just a second now, so at this rate John Hogg is going to catch and pass 17 Paul Reed, who would have gone up to blue if he'd held on for the final win. So 17 and 92 first and second with 674. Stephen McGoy in third with 5 laps to go. Paul Reed gets passed by 92. And 17 now loses second to 674, Stephen McGoy. Can he stay out ahead of Craig Wallace to finish in the top 3? No, he can't, because he's slowed up. The 17 driver looks like he's well out of that. He's now dropping down to 5th or 6th place, and the 17 driver looks to have a problem. So 17 Paul Reed failing to finish this one as he did heat number 1. Leaves us with 92 John Hogg leading. Stephen McGoy half a second back. Can Stephen McGoy do anything with just 2 laps remaining? The gap, if anything, has gone up a little between 92 and 674, now up to 0.6 of a second. It's the last lap time for the Brisca Formula 2 final tonight. Stephen McGoy pops in another fast lap. It's still half a second behind John Hogg, who's going to hold on for victory in tonight's feature final for the Brisca Formula 2s. Completing those top 3 in the end, the 16 Craig Wallace. So your race action of the night here. John Hogg, of course, from the lap handicap, so that left Rebecca Reid thing, but still no Paul Reid or Brian Hogg in this one, so the Reds immediately on the scene in second. Up to the lead, I should say, was 9.75 Graham Leckie. They've got lots of away trips for those wanting to do some travelling. But down the back straight, 16 Craig Wallace takes over at the front. Rhys McIntosh from 6.74. So Craig Wallace it is from 6.74, Stephen McGoyne, Rhys McIntosh and Graham Leckie, Jason McDonald, and then John Hogg up into 6th. Only 7 cars in this event, unfortunately. So will Stephen McGoyne get past 16 Craig Wallace? He's on his tail coming into the home straight. And 6.74 squeezes past and into the lead. Craig Wallace drops to second as Jason McDonald gets past Graham Leckie. John Hogg looking to now catch on to 9.75 Graham Leckie's nearest rival in the track championship as we enter the second half of the race. So round onto the back straight, 92 John Hogg from the lap handicap has 6.74 Stephen McGoyne chasing him down. Looks like it's going to be a relatively comfortable stroll for 6.74. I'll tell you, a shower now looks like it's passed, because the drivers in the F2's pretty much at full pace. 6.74 comes round with 4 laps to go. Onto the back straight, and what's been a rather pedestrian night from the Brisca F2's. 3 laps to go for Stephen McGoyne though. Don't take it away from any of the effort from the drivers who are out there on track. Stephen McGoyne has caught and passed 92 John Hogg, so McGoyne on an absolute flyer in this one as the laps continue to count down. McIntosh in the closing stages of this one. Stephen McGoyne though well in control as the checkered flag drops on 6.74. Jason McDonald trying to catch 5.14 at the last bend, unable to do so, and that's how the places are gonna wrap up in tonight's final event of the evening.